Hello everyone and welcome back to Chess Game Design with me. So in the last lesson we programmed the bishop and now it works the way it's supposed to in chess. I really can't say much more than that. So what I forgot to mention in the last video was that I had made a few fixes to the rook to make it more efficient. So because we have this checking over here, which just removes any moves which we count as valid, but when in reality the square contains a piece of our own color, we can just straight away remove these, because these are never going to be entered, seeing as we've already removed the pieces which are invalid moves, but we can... So what I mean is, if there's a piece which we count as a valid move, for the rook or the bishop, so let's get the rook as an example. When the rook is selected, this would at first be a valid move. However, because we have this over here, or no, not that, this, so it's saying that the color of the piece which we're looking at that's in the square, if it's of the same color as the piece that we've selected, we want to remove it from valid moves. So the pawn and the bishop get removed from valid moves. So that's why we don't have to have that checking there. And which is why I also didn't have the checking in the bishop. In the rook, what I also did was, similarly to what I did with the bishop, make the if and else if into just one if with an or in between, as you can see there. And that's all I want to cover from what we have done previously. So today we're going to be working on the queen. As I said, the queen is pretty much just a rook and a bishop combined together. So what I'm going to do is literally copy and paste everything I have in the rook into the queen. Rename it queen, obviously. And then work from there. So this is everything the rook has. So, the valid moves for the queen, sure, this. However, now because it can also move like a bishop, we have to make sure that in the case of these two conditions, the row hasn't changed or the column hasn't changed. So we need to do and this dot int row equals j dot int row. Similarly here, we do int call and int call. We could do this to the rook, however, there's really no need to do that because, well, there's no need. I don't really know how to explain why, but there's no need to do it in the rook. And then we have two other conditions, which are the bishop's conditions for movement. And that is this over here. That's one. I believe I can just do that. Yep, there we go. And this. So we can just copy and paste them in. Now, inside of here, we also need to add the bishop's conditions of these, meaning we also need to add these in. This is what I did in my real program. I just copied and pasted pretty much everything. There we go. I mean, this isn't a fake program, but I think you know what I mean. That ends there. So I need to copy from there to there. I need an else if, separate those two. There we go. And again, similarly to what we did here with making sure that these aren't changed, we need to make sure that these aren't changed either over here, wherever they were. Let me just find them. Okay, so over here. We need to make sure that these don't change. And int call and so on. So int call there. I think that was the rook's movement, right? Yeah, that was the rook's movement. But what am I doing wrong now? Because okay, here was, I didn't see the row here. Good, and then we just need to copy and paste this into the other two. And actually, looking at my other script, by the looks of things, we don't actually have to check for this over here. So that's kind of helpful. However, we definitely do need to check for it here, because I've tested it and it doesn't work without without doing that. However, just to be safe, what we should do is separate these two, so with brackets, because we want them to be separate conditions. There we go. And now we've got that sorted out. Let's move on to here. So again, over here we can do this checking, as well as the checking from the bishop. In my other program, what I've done was do the bishop and then the rook. Now I'm doing the rook then the bishop, so it's kind of upside down, but it doesn't matter because it's just copy and paste. So we can take this whole condition, get into the queen, and paste it. There we go. And then it removes it if those are true. Then we reverse it, and we go into the bishop again. We copy these variables, go into the queen, and do that. So I'm doing this just to show you that the rook and the bishop can be just merged together very simply. Now we have this OR condition. We can just copy everything from here. The queen, or that, and also just separate them just in case. There we go. And it's going to remove it if that's true. Then we need to add another two things over here, else if and else if, to change those. And if I'm correct, this should now make the queen work the way we're expecting it to. Let's check. Full screen it. There is my queen. Oh, no, it's not. Okay, let's check what's wrong. So for similar reasons why up here we have to check where the rook's movements are, that they are equal, that the column is equal. We over here need to check that the I don't really know how to explain, but that the rows here, if we're changing the columns, that the rows are staying constant. So what we need to do is just simply and j dot int row equals check right square dot int row, and nope, not all the way over here, as well as over here with check up square. Let me just copy that and do and j dot int call this time equals check up square dot int call. So this is going to sort the up directions for the bishop-like movement of the queen. So the rook movement for the queen was fine. And now the up direction is also fine. However, the down direction is still not fine, as you can obviously see, because it's removing more than it's supposed to. So what we need to do is, again, for similar reason that we did it here, Over here, check the down and left directions. So, which ones were those? Because this is such a long line of code, it's kind of difficult to navigate. So check left square. I think it's that one. Let me just make sure that I'm doing that. Yes, so over here, and j dot int row equals check left square dot int row. And also, where's the left direction? So over here. I know that's down left. Check down. So add check down. And j.int call equals check down square dot int call. Lowercase o. And now the queen movement should be fine. Let's just make sure, because I'm pretty sure I've said it more than once now. Okay, up is fine, so is down by the looks of things. You can do more testing, but you will find out that the movement is all correct. So why we had to do this was because it was removing some of the squares with from the valid moves list. It was removing them because without this and checking that the row is staying constant, it's entering there even for the bishop's movement, and it's removing them because we're only checking for the column to be less than this. However, when we check for the row to be equal as well as the column to be less, for example, then we make sure that we're talking about the bishop's movements and checking the bishop's movement category through the bishop movement checks and not through the rook movement checks, because these should only be applied to the up, down, left, right motion, whereas the other things should be applied to the diagonal motions for the bishop-like movement. And now, as you saw, everything is working correctly. Hopefully that explains it, and I also showed you how we literally merged the rook and the bishop together to make the queen. Yes, we did need to make a few edits to get it correct. Excuse the noise from outside, please. But yeah. So thank you so much for watching this video. If you have any questions, do feel free to ask in the comments down below. I will answer them as soon as possible. Other than that, thank you so much for watching. Goodbye, and see you next time.